make you so special? Why did he bless you? Think about it. I woke up this morning. Got a smile when I say that shit. I woke up this morning.
We are live. We are live with Taylor Pistel. The awesome Taylor Pistel. And wait, this is episode number 54.
Wait, is this actually live?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut you off guard with being live.
No, that's okay. I like it.
Because we kind of just like press record, and then whenever I feel like saying live, maybe I should reconsider my intros.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I want everybody to know that I'm doing this podcast right now with no shoes on. So
me too.
No way.
Yeah.
I would have done it through pink eye too. Like I'm committed. I'm committed to the podcast again.
That's good.
So Taylor grew up in a small town, Marshall, Missouri.
Yes.
How big is that about?
12 to 13,000, but the majority of people live like in the farm town or like the farms around it, so the actual cities feels a lot smaller, like maybe 6,000 or 7,000.
Okay. So it's not like too incredibly small, but that's still crazy.
Yeah,
small.
like we have Walmart and we have stoplights. I didn't realize how...
We have stoplights?
Yeah, well, because I come here and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm from a super small town. And I'm like, me too. And they're like, yeah, we only have one stoplight. Like, that's super small. That's like 400 or 500. So we have a city and we have Walmart. We have a movie theater, a little bar, some hotels. But like, there's not a lot to do. If you want to go to the mall, you have to drive at least an hour to Columbia or Kansas City. And we have Sedalia, which is 30 minutes away, to go do things too. So it's a small town, but there's possibilities of doing things. Other small towns are in the middle of nowhere. They have to drive 30 minutes to Walmart. We don't have to do that.
That would be ridiculous.
That would be rough.
So there is a Walmart in your town?
Yeah.
It's big enough to have a Walmart. That's okay.
Yeah.
See, whenever I was imagining it, I actually was imagining it smaller, so that's good, but I still see how, because you were saying before the podcast you want to get away to Florida.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And so I could totally
Bigger
see
city,
how you want to get out.
Yeah. And coming to Springfield was a good stepping stone, I think, because it's like a little bit bigger. I don't know, what is Springfield, like 150
something like that. Here, we'll look it up real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like we should know this just off the top of the
I know.
We've been living here for however long. Springfield, Missouri. Population. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so that's a ton.
167,000.
Mm-hmm. So I think I want to go to a city that's maybe like 300,000, 300,000 or 400,000.
Okay.
I want it to be a little bigger than Springfield. I do like Springfield, but I feel like it's still pretty compact.
Totally,
you know?
totally.
So I want to go to like a little bit bigger. So Florida is the move.
What do you mean by compact? Like the...
I feel like the whole city is kind of together. So you've been to Columbia, Missouri, right? Or not that much?
Not much.
Not much?
Not
okay.
much.
So Columbia is actually smaller than Springfield, like population-wise, but whenever you go, it feels huge. Like my family.
So it's more like dispersed, more spread out.
Yeah, everything's spread out, and like Springfield's kind of a grid too. Have you noticed that when you're driving?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That makes it feel smaller to me too, I think, because like I know where everything is. Whereas in Columbia, like I've been going there since I was a kid. My grandparents live there, but I don't even know my way around because there's just so many different areas of town.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so I kind of want to get to a place that's a little bigger. I like the size of Springfield, but I just want it to be a little...
That's what I thought you meant by compact, and I agree. It's a little too much compact for, like, my liking.
Yeah, everything's just, like, it's cool because it's all together and it's a big city, so it's easier to get everywhere, but I really just want to be in a place where I'm constantly able to go to new places to explore.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've explored out in Springfield.
And like as far as like nature goes here, it's like there are some really cool nature spots, and actually Springfield, Missouri is like notorious for having some really cool caves and whatnot.
Yeah, have you been to any of them?
I've been to like maybe two or something. I know some are like on people's land.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. The only one I've been to is Fantastic Caverns, where you like ride through on the little trolley.
Never been there.
That one's pretty cool.
That's in Springfield.
Mm-hmm. It's a little north. It's out on Kansas.
Okay.
But yeah, you just get on a little trolley. That's what I liked about it, was I didn't have to walk. I was lazy that day. But it just drives you through, and they stop every once in a while and give you like a little educational spiel. And
that's what's up.
Yeah, but the nature centers are cool too. But that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I've been to all of them and I've explored them all.
Absolutely.
So I want to go to somewhere where I'm like constantly, there's always new ones to go to.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Or at the bare minimum, at least be able to explore all of the places that you want to go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Versus if you're living in Florida, I'm assuming you want to live like by the beach.
Yes, definitely.
So you were saying how like you don't know if it's like California or like why it's necessarily Florida.
Yeah.
Why Florida? There are always these places that satisfy this need of like living at a beach.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like an intuitive thing?
I don't know. And that's what's funny is that I've been saying I wanted to go to Florida since I was little, but I really started trying to put it in motion my freshman year of high school. And I tried to get it set up to where I could go to Florida for college. And I toured FAU and Boca Raton, and I was just so set I wanted to go there. But, of course, my parents wouldn't let me, coming from a small town. Like, that would not have been smart.
Totally.
But then, like, the longer I talked about it, everyone started asking me, like, why Florida? Why Florida? Why don't you just go to California or South Carolina or, like, all these other beachy towns, Texas? I don't know. Like, for some reason, it just doesn't set with me. Like, that'd be cool. Like, I want to go visit, but not to live. For some reason, I just want to live in Florida.
Okay.
So I feel like it's something that is maybe within me. If that's a real life thing that it could be, then I'm being drawn there for something. Or it just could be that I'm stubborn, which I am, and that like I had it on my heart that that's where I wanted to go, and I don't want anyone to change my mind.
Right.
But it's like it's yet to be seen. So.
But you've also considered all possibilities. So.
I have, yeah, and I think that the cost of living in California is higher. Like I do think that's a real life thing that could play into it.
I think the real estate in Florida is pretty cheap for the most part.
Yeah, and I have a lot of friends that live down there now in different areas, and so like through talking to them, it sounds like it's pretty comparable. Like, have you noticed our gas right now is like close to $2.50, and I thought that was super high. But the friend I'm staying with, I asked him what gas was there, and it's $2.40, so it's like a little bit cheaper there.
Really?
And, yeah, and he pays $900 for a 2-bedroom. And 2 bedrooms here are like about $700, like at Bear Village.
So it's very comparable.
So it's, comparable. And I feel like...
But there's an ocean there.
And there's an ocean, yeah. And there's like so many different places to explore. And I think in Florida too, like, I might not end up exactly where I'm supposed to be on the first try, but there's so many different cities in Florida that I could try out that I feel like I'll definitely find one that fits me.
Good point.
Yeah. A lot of the Midwest cities I feel like are similar, like KC, St. Louis, kind of the same thing, just opposite sides of the state.
And the people, because a lot of people that go down to Missouri State, they typically, I feel like that you can't really tell the difference in Missouri people,
right,
or the St. Louis people versus the Kansas City people, versus like Chicago. I lived there for a year, and the people there are very different than St. Louis. Like, and I know Mizzou's like notorious for having like both Chicago and St. Louis, and there's like such a culture clash there, and you could tell who's from Chicago, who's from St. Louis. It's not that way with KC and St. Louis. Very, very similar.
Yeah. And I feel like they have a lot of similar, like, the city is so similar in and of itself, but, like, the minor differences, like Breadco versus Panera, like, that's such a big thing for them, but it's so minor. And in Florida, like, you have southern Florida where you have all kinds of Cubans and stuff, so you have, like, the international population, but then if you go northern, then you have more of the people that are, like, kind of southern, like Georgia and the
like
cute
Cuban
ones,
food.
Yeah, so...
So you get it's more of a melting pot down there.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that people are a lot more open-minded. Like, I feel like being in the Midwest, there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of, like, judgmental people, and...
I don't know, because I haven't experienced too much of, like, other cultures in the United States, but I feel like people are kind of complacent here, too.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's just kind of cool with, like, what they have, and, like... which is cool, but it's just, like, I know myself, and I'm kind of an ambitious person, or at least I like to think I am, and, like... That just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't feel like people here have a lot of ambition. Like, even my family, they're just content with what they have, and they don't really strive for anything more.
Which is beautiful. It's cool. Like,
it's cool
if you're grateful, that's awesome, but it's not me, and you got to recognize that within yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think that's more of, like, our culture, not our culture, but, like, our age group, too, like millennials. I think that we have a lot more drive for adventure, and I think it probably has a little bit to do with, like, the different things that have become available to us from a younger age with media and like phones and stuff. It's put a little more of a drive in us to get out and explore more.
What do you mean? Like, so like the possibilities, the realm of possibility, like maybe you see on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, like
different
like a
things in the
picture
world.
Yeah, like
and
Australia.
Like, you're like, oh, I want to go there. Oh, I want to do that. Or you see what other people are doing. Like, people see that you're doing this podcast, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's like going out and growing and doing these things. Like, I want to do that, but what do I want to do? And then, I don't know. And then, like, with the social media, too, like, I have friends all over the country, and some of them I've never even met, but, like, we have cool things in common, and I could go visit them, so that kind of opens up that idea. And then if I go visit them and I like it there, and then I want to move there. So, I don't know, I feel like our generation just is, like, a little more open-minded and willing to go out and do different things, whereas like our parents and grandparents, they were like so family oriented that it was like, oh yeah, stay close to the family, live right down the road, raise your kids, and
absolutely.
So
I agree. I think we are a lot more open-minded in a lot of good ways with religion as well.
Yeah,
I feel like it's with politics, with religion, with I agree.
Everything.
I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So growing up in Marshall in the small town, you had a chiropractor, right?
Yes,
Not
I
butchering
did.
that. I remember you telling me all about him, but this was like a few months back.
It's been a while, yeah. So he is, let's see, he's probably in his upper 70s or 80s now. Like,
wow.
He's getting up there. And I could be completely wrong, yeah. Yeah, he says he's going to work till the day he dies. He's not going to retire. He has this whole little spot picked out in the back where he says that's where I'm going to keel over and die. But he's dedicated. And he only has one secretary, her name's Sandy. So it's just those two, and then they have like a receptionist. So whenever I graduated high school, I graduated early, a semester early in December. So I needed a job to hold me over until I left for college, and they offered it to me. So I started working there, and I think what I was telling you about was like the impact he had on me with like the different people that would come into the office. So living in Marshall, it's definitely like in the Bible Belt, and people are conservative and like, judgmental, and the stereotypes we have against like different religions and ethnicities. So Marshall has a big Hispanic population, and there's 2 factories there, and it seems like the majority of the Hispanics work at those factories, which does give them, that stereotype. Like, people just don't treat them the same, and I always like recognize, especially in school, like I didn't like it.
The right way to approach it.
Yeah, but
do they treat them necessarily like as lesser?
Yes, but not in a mean way. Like, there's not any kind of like racism out on the streets where
more of like an unspoken thing.
But yeah, it's just like here's us, we're the farmers, and we have all this money, and then here's our factory workers, is kind of like the dynamic in the city. And then
sometimes those nonverbals speak louder than words would.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, and I always picked up on it, and I picked up that like, in school, if I would come home and be talking to my parents about a friend I'd made, they'd, ask, well, are they white? Are they black? Are they Hispanic? Like, it mattered. But at the same time, it didn't. They'd always say, oh, well, that's okay, but, be careful and all this. So I picked up on it, but I never really agreed with it, because in school I could see, like, these people are the same as me. Like, they're not doing anything. Like, you guys up here, you have these conflicts with them, but I'm in school and, like, I'm cool with them. They're fun. So
that's really cool that you're able to view that from like the innocent side of things.
Well, I just never understood it. I feel like that is one thing about me, is I've always had like an open heart towards things, and I think that was that's why I think the chiropractor had such a big impact on it, was because whenever these people would come into his office, he didn't have that same mindset like my parents did. Like, if they would come in and they didn't speak English at all, he treated them the same. If they came in and they were all dirty and they looked like they hadn't had a shower in weeks, he treated them the same. If they came in and they had a whole bunch of money and they were like uptight in their business suits, he would treat them the same. And so I think that really gave me like an environment where I could be more like what I always believed in, like kind of act on that, rather than like, not that my parents wouldn't let me do that, but I just felt like I was wrong if I would. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, yeah.
He led a really good example, and that's what you agreed with his example more than the example your parents set for you.
He gave me the path that I could, like, act on it.
Absolutely.
Whereas, like, my parents definitely, like, they're not racist by any means, don't get me wrong, but, they have those mindsets that they were grown up, like, raised with. So
yeah, they're just conditioned. That's just the product of their environment.
Nothing bad about it. They don't look down on them. It's just, like, my grandma, for example, if she saw puppies being sold out of the back of a white man's car versus a black man's car, she would obviously go straight to the white man, just because in her mind that would be the safer option. But for me, if I see both, like, I'm not going to look at who's selling them. I'm going to look at what puppies are cuter.
Exactly.
And go towards that one, So
because then you only limit yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another reason why I want to get out and explore so much, is because I do feel like I was sheltered in a way from getting to experience the different cultures and things like that. And so I want to go out and like do that for myself now.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
and he led you to this path of adventure as well, like open your mind in that aspect. That's gonna just the ripple effect that's gonna come from that is so
he's
awesome.
So nice. And he's also super generous. Like, I think I told you about how he would, if he started treating babies when they were young, he'd treat them for free all the way up until Yeah, forever. Like, he treats me for free because I've been seeing him since I was 6 weeks old.
What does he do? Does he, like, pop anything?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's what a chiropractor does.
So, like, cause I think I was telling you about this whenever you mentioned before, but my neck has been messed up for, like, I was working and during a shift, in between, like, whenever I had some free time, which free time in a serving job is, like, just a few seconds. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, my neck is bothering me. I'm going to pop my neck real quick. I pulled it, and I just forced it. And I wouldn't have done this unless I was working, but I wanted to get back out on the floor, so I'm like, I'm just going to force it. I'm just going to do it. Not smart.
Yeah.
I pulled it, pop, a super loud pop. Like, one of my coworkers was, like, in the middle of what she's doing, looked over at me, and she's like, what? Yeah, it was ridiculous, and it's been hurting since. And then I did jujitsu the summer right after that, leading up to, like, started probably a month later. That didn't help at all because I wasn't very good, and I don't know. Long story short, you have to defend with you, or I would have to defend with my chin because I wasn't as good as the people I was going against. Yeah, and that hurts
your neck even more.
Yes, so my neck has been messed up for like almost a year now.
I would go to a chiropractor.
Okay.
One pop, he'll pop you back. That's the thing. And I definitely think that this chiropractor, and I do think I'm a little biased, but he is better than a lot of them just because he's been doing it for so long. And so he can literally like take, like whenever you go in, he grabs your head like this, he feels your neck, and then he just does a line right down your spine, and he can feel exactly where the problem area is just by running, So I just went in there Monday, actually, because I went home to watch the Super Bowl with my dad, and my back was out of place, so I went in Monday and walked in, and he grabbed my neck, and he said, oh, you're out right there, and he ran his hand down my back and said, you're out right there. So then he puts you up on this little bed. You start off laying flat on your stomach, and the table that you lay on has like kind of a little give, like a breakaway, so that you can, like, whenever he presses in, your back has room to pop without just being a flat, hard surface to pop it on.
Okay.
And so he popped that part in, and then he comes up, and my neck was out of place too. It doesn't even hurt. And then he tells you which way to turn, so he tapped my shoulder, so I turn my head this way, and he takes it, and he just pops it, and then he does it the other way and pops it, and good as new, like golden.
That's really cool. I guess working as a chiropractor, he's going to, like, realize that people are going to put a lot of trust into him. So maybe that's a little bit of why he treated everybody so equally.
Yeah.
That or he's just a good person.
Yeah, he is just a good person, and he definitely, like, he looks out for people. If people come in after a car accident and they don't really have the funds to pay for it, but it's obvious they need it, he'll cut them a break and, cheapen the price. But that's the glory of working for yourself, is that you don't have to, like, listen to what everyone else says. You have the ability to set your own prices and help people if they need it. So it's good. But
that's his form of giving back.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like with a small town, he knows who actually needs it and who doesn't. Like, it's, people pretty well, so he knows, like, people can't just go in and take advantage of him, I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
he's not naive.
He's not naive. He's smart. He is the smartest man I've ever met.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's it. I just love that. I love the idea of, like, especially you being kind of sheltered in your upbringing, and then somebody comes along and makes this just magnificent impact in your life.
Well, and it's someone that I had known for, like, my whole life, Like, I never would have guessed that it would be him. Like, who would have thought the town chiropractor would be the one to, like, set my ambitions on fire? And he doesn't even know that. Like, I've never even told him that.
No way.
Yeah, because he's a man of few words. Like, I worked for him for a long time, but he... it's just, how are you doing today? I'm good. How are you? Good. He talks to people all day, though, so. I
like that. A man of few words, but he leads by example.
Yeah.
And that action kind of inspired you.
I could not tell you a single thing about how he was raised, his childhood, anything. Like, I don't know him in that way. I just know him by how he acts and how he treats people, and.
Wow.
Yeah, he's great. He really is.
Wow. I guess this story, not as irrelevant, but like it doesn't matter as much. Like it's more about the impact.
He expresses his story through his actions, I think.
Okay.
Like,
you should ask him sometime.
I want to,
because realistically, he'll be gone in like, I don't know,
20 years.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure in 20. I mean, unless he's one of those crazies that lives past 100, which he could be, but.
Would you even want to live past 100?
If I was in good health, like if I was still kicking it, yeah. But if I was, not able to do the things I wanted to do, or if I wasn't living a life that was enjoyable.
If you're just like a total vegetable.
Yeah. Or if I couldn't walk, if I had to have a walker, I wouldn't want to do that. I have a grandma that's 93, 94, and she was kicking it really well up until a couple weeks ago. She had to go to the hospital for pneumonia. And now she's not. Like, now she's, you know, when you're that old, one little thing can knock you back a lot.
Oh,
and
totally.
so she's definitely, like, not living the quality of life that she was before. And she's kind of hitting that point, too, where she's like, well, now I don't really want to be alive. I can't live on my own. Like, I have to have people take care of me. I think that's kind of how I am. If I could take care of myself and live on my own and do the things I enjoy, like, I'll live forever. But once I'm, like, restricted in any way, then I'd just rather kick the dust.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's my life. So.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So, I like this question a lot.
I do too.
You've been waiting for it.
I have.
Waiting. If I steal a loaf of bread from you and eat it, when does the bread itself cease to be yours and becomes mine?
That is such a deep question, but so not. Okay, so that's like a pencil. Like, it could be the same thing. Like, if this is your pencil and I take it, is it mine now, or is it technically still yours because I stole it? But then to put it with bread, then, like, by the time I eat it, then it, like, definitely is mine because it's in my stomach.
Right.
But you're the one that stole it.
So I claimed it. I chose to claim it, and then you took it and you ate it.
So at what point does it stop being your bread? Does it stop being your bread whenever I take it from you?
Or when you consume it?
Or when I consume it? Or after I digest it?
Or was it ever my bread? Or was it ever your bread? Or were we just borrowing this energy from the universe?
Yeah, or was it, like, never your bread because it was the person that you stole it from? Did it say steal or did it say take? If I steal. So yeah. So then you stole it from somebody too. So is it actually yours? Or no,
No.
it
So
from
you
me?
would steal. Yeah. So
Okay.
I have it original. Let's just say I
You bought it.
Let's throw
bought it
that
from the
factor
store.
into it. Like, instead of like a super philosophical.
Yeah.
That was my argument. Like, do we ever really own anything?
Yeah,
Is anything
exactly.
really ours? Or we're just temporarily borrowing it from the universe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
you
I
bought
legally
it.
own this bread. Mm-hmm. I spent $2 on it.
You keep it at your house. I steal it from your house, take it to my house.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then you eat it. So whenever you grabbed it and took it over, or
I feel like it would become mine once I left with it, maybe. Because that's the thing, is, like, as long as it was still here, like, if I tried to eat the bread here, it would become mine when I ate it. Because it's still, like, technically...
Say that one more time.
So, like, let's just say you have a loaf of bread upstairs right now. And I'm, like, if I go upstairs and take it and eat it, I don't think it would become mine until I ate it. Because it's still in your property. Maybe that's taking it, like, way too deep. But I feel like if I just went upstairs and was going to, like, take it back to my house because I was out of bread, it would become mine as soon as I left.
As soon as you walk out the door.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm taking it away from you. But if I'm just eating it...
Is it ever yours if you, like, don't claim it? Well, yeah.
At what point does it cease to be mine? That is so tough. Yeah, I think it's...
Is it ever yours if you took it? Is it ever, like, ethically yours? Or is it just yours because you got to consume it?
I feel like it would just be mine because I got to consume it, but it was still yours.
Okay.
I just, like, stole it from you. I'm not a thief. I don't know how this stuff works. Because, like, if you rob a bank, you know, if a robber robs a bank, at what point does that money become his? It was never his. He stole it.
It wasn't his because it wasn't an agreement, but it's his because it's in his possession.
Exactly. So there's two different ways of looking at it.
Yeah, true.
Because if I take your bread and you allow it, then it becomes mine as soon as you're like, okay, yeah, you can have it. Boom, it's my bread. So if there's no agreement, it would always be your bread.
Right.
I would just have stolen it.
It was my bread that you ate.
Yeah, I ate your bread. That's so crazy, yeah.
That is a really just...
It could go so many different ways.
Yeah, it's not even binary. Like, there's so many, it's all relative.
Lots of moving parts with it. Yeah.
So, what do you think your future self would say about you now?
Oh gosh, she'd say she's a mess right now. But she's working on it. I feel like... Definitely.
I love that answer.
Yeah. I feel like I have spent the first few years of college, like, learning a lot. You know, like, coming from a small town, I definitely was open to a lot of new experiences. And a lot of them did lead me down paths that took me to life lessons. But I think that that's something that every person does have to go through at some point. And so I'm glad that it happened to me while I'm young, because I can still act on and shape myself the way that I feel is best based on what I've learned. So now I feel like if I was like how old? 30, 40, 70, looking back?
Good point. I guess age matters a lot.
Yeah.
Let's just say somewhat short term, 30.
30? Okay, so 30 looking back on now, I would definitely think that...
So this is about a 10-year difference for you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm 22 on Monday.
No way, good for you.
Yeah,
Happy early birthday.
The 12th. So, thank you.
We're the same age then. I didn't realize that, because I turned 22 in October.
Yeah.
This past October. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Okay, cool. Are you graduating in May?
No. I'm on a 5th year.
Okay, that's good. I kind of wish I could. So yeah, I think in 10 years I would look back and definitely see these years as my growing years. And like right now I'm kind of starting to stop being so dumb and naive and like going towards the experiences that are teaching me lessons, and more so focusing on what's best for me and how I'm going to turn my life into what I want it to be.
Absolutely.
So I kind of have a blog right now that I keep up with, and the way that I kind of set it up is I call it the cocoon days, because right now I feel like I'm in my cocoon and I'm like learning based on all the things I ate while I was a caterpillar, and like, you know, all those things grow and shape you into who you are, but then when you're in the cocoon, you're really forming yourself, and then you come out as a butterfly. So it's super like...
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's like kind of abstract and kind of cliche, but I do feel like that really represents where I am right now, because I don't really spend a lot of time with a lot of the people that I did the first few years of college, because I kind of realized like they weren't getting me to where I wanted to be. So now I'm kind of focusing more on, okay, like I've gotten more involved at church. So I'm hanging out with people that have similar interests as me, and like that's helping me grow. And I'm just, you know, doing more like working. The place I'm working is more fit to what I want to do, rather than like working at Bear Village like I was. Like I never wanted to be in real estate. So why was I working a job in real estate?
Right.
So I feel like looking back, I would see these years as like I'm kind of painting the canvas.
Totally. Finding yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, and it sounds so cliche, and I hate it, but I do feel like that's what it is.
No, that doesn't sound cliche to me at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I would agree. It's also kind of experimental. A lot of wisdom's gained in college. A lot of failures. A lot of weird experiences.
Yeah. You can never prepare for them.
Exactly.
You can't. It's just something you kind of have to live through, and the way that you react to it definitely shapes how your future turns out. So that's kind of what I'm focusing more on now.
Have you faced like a lot of adversity, or are there any experiences coming to mind when you're talking about this?
I feel like I was never into the whole...
Hey, wait, I'm going to yell upstairs real quick.
Okay.
Hey, Trud!
What?
Hey, don't play any music. We're doing a podcast right now.
Yeah, I'm going to class.
Okay. Cool.
I feel like being an only child, I definitely wasn't as into the whole, like, going out downtown thing. Like, you know, drinking and partying and that kind of thing. I never joined a fraternity or a sorority. So I feel like most of my adversity came from trying to meet people. And I think that working at Bear Village definitely did help me to put myself out there and meet people and do different things.
And a little background for anybody who doesn't know what Bear Village is. No, it's cool. It's like an apartment complex. So you my understanding, you work like the front desk or something?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I got to be friends with a lot of the residents, and that was a really good way for me to get involved, because I didn't join a sorority. I didn't do any of like the, you know, student government. So coming out of freshman year from the dorms, I had a couple friends, but not a ton. And going to Bear Village and working there, I got to be friends with a ton of the residents.
Totally.
And like, that was a way for me to meet people. But what I found is that they were all really interested in like going out downtown and drinking and, you know, doing the sorority and fraternity stuff, but I never really liked that. So I would try it. But
you never really liked drinking?
I still don't really like drinking. And that's not just like I'm not just being stuck up. Like, I really just don't like the taste of it. I don't like the feeling of being drunk.
I don't think anybody likes the taste of anything. Like,
yeah. So the way I saw it was like, why am I forcing myself to do these things that I don't even enjoy, rather than going out and like finding the things that do make me happy and expanding on that. So,
because you weren't at that point, you weren't really living your life for yourself, like what you really wanted to do.
No,
Like, you're like,
yeah.
oh, this is what everybody else wants to do. So this is what I'm gonna do.
Exactly. And so I would try to fit in that way and do those things to meet people. And I would meet people, and I did have a lot of really good friends, but that's kind of what I mean when I say I don't really hang out with a lot of them anymore, is just because why would I put myself in the position to go do the things that I don't really enjoy? And like, I can still have that friendship with that person and be cool with them, but not go and force myself to, you know, drink or party
Absolutely.
or do that stuff. So
Good expression too, 'cause, like forcing yourself. 'Cause
Yeah.
you kind of are. Like,
I was, yeah.
Like I don't really want to be, or I don't really want to go do this, but like I'm gonna
but
go
I want
do it.
friends, so I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
And you might like the individual people, but like the environment.
Exactly, yeah, and I definitely do. And that was what I found too, is that I definitely thrived on hanging out with people more one-on-one rather than in the big party scene, because, you know, the people I would hang out with, we'd have, like last summer, for example, I had 5 or 6 people that I hung out with on a regular basis. And we would wake up in the morning in the summer and like, okay, what's everyone doing today? What are we going to do? And we'd all wake up and check on everyone, and we'd eventually get together at some point throughout the day, and we'd do something, and then we'd, you know, go on. But I found that it got really mundane, I guess, and it got kind of boring. And so I would start just
Maybe
hanging out with,
repetitive as well.
Yeah, and I'd start hanging out with one of them, you know, just one-on-one. We'd go to the mall, or we'd go to hike or go do something. And that was more what I thrived on, because I got to talk to the person and get to know the person, rather than in the big environment, you know, you're all just kind of sitting there, you're playing a game or you're watching music videos, you're not really talking.
You're kind of just there together in that moment, but you're distracted with something else. Not really. So you kind of crave a connection with people.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And I think that stems from being an only child too. For sure. Like, I don't like to blame a lot of things on being an only child, because I don't feel like I'm a
it's not even a blame.
one.
It's more of like a psychoanalyzing your life, like an observation of your life. This is why I'm the way I am.
I've always been really big on connections with people, and like even in high school, I didn't have a huge group of people I hung out with. I wasn't the super popular. I had my little group that I'd hang out with, and we'd go do things. But in high school, I think you're definitely more based on connection with people. You're not as focused on all the outside external things. So then coming to college and seeing how easily I could get brought into a big group of friends that was super cool, but you know, you were doing things I didn't really enjoy, and I didn't really have a super good connection with any of them, that just wasn't fun anymore.
Totally.
So I quit Bear Village on a random Tuesday and moved back home for a month and saved up. And
so what led to this change, this the decision that this isn't me, this is what I want to do with my life, so I'm gonna take control of my life?
A boy,
okay.
Yeah.
In what way?
So I think that I was trying really hard to be something for him that just wasn't me, you know, and I think every girl kind of has that story at some point, but I was just really trying to, not even to like have a relationship, but just to like kind of change that guy and kind of help him, fix him by showing him what a girl could really like be. But since we had completely different upbringings, and so that's where I really started to see like, okay, my upbringing is a lot different than a lot of people, and I'm a lot different person than a lot of people. He thrived on the whole partying, drinking, having a ton of people over. He didn't look for the connections with people, so I was trying to force a connection that maybe wasn't there in that way. And I think that
sounds like your intentions were like flawless.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not flawless, but really good good intentions.
Yeah. And so once I started realizing that wasn't making me happy, that was causing me a lot more stress than happiness, then I kind of took a step back and looked at that. And then whenever I realized that at Bear Village, like a lot of the people I was friends with, it was like, yeah, I'm friends with them, but all they really want to do is drink and party. I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this?
And it's a hard spot, because it's like everybody I know wants to do this activity, and it's like, but this isn't what I enjoy.
Yeah, and I feel like since I never really put myself out there freshman year, since I was still pretty shy, I didn't really get I definitely could have gotten involved in intramurals or like the different things that I was interested in, but because I didn't do that early, I felt like I couldn't do it as a junior in high school or junior in college. I felt like it was too late for me. So that's whenever I just decided, you know what, I'm going to quit my job because money is not more important than my happiness, and I wasn't happy working at Bear Village anymore. I was only working there because of the paycheck I got every 2 weeks, and I could count on it. But I was like, this isn't going to take me where I want to go. So I quit, and I moved back home with my dad for a month back to little old Marshall, but that was terrible, and I hated it, and...
When was this? This was over a break?
This was August.
Okay.
The beginning of August. Or, I guess, end of July. I was only there for 4 weeks. That's the only... Like, I planned on staying there the whole semester, and I was going to take a semester off of school, work for the chiropractor again, and...
Then decided to move back to Bear Village, or not
back to Springfield. Back to Springfield. Yeah, I was going to come back in January. And then I was there for a month, and it was just, there was nothing to do there, and I think that really, too, helped me see the mindset of Marshall and how much different Springfield was, and I was just like, I don't want to be back in this environment because this is what I, like, tried so hard to grow out of. So I came back to Springfield and got a different job, and now I've just been, my cocoon days. I've been focusing on myself and, like, trying to figure out what I'm doing, so.
Very cool,
yeah,
very cool.
That's my story. Wow, you just, like, drew it right out of me. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. So.
I guess, yeah, I can relate to a lot of that too. That's really because I'm kind of the same way. I don't really like drink. I'm not drinking this whole entire semester. I don't know if I told you that.
I don't know. Yeah, I noticed that when you said that they were gonna be hanging out last night. I was like, I wonder why he doesn't want to. But I wasn't gonna say anything because I'm not really into it either. But
exactly.
Do you feel like it's working out better for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of realized same thing. I crave connection with like individuals because I don't like going out to the bar scene and just like. Because it's so superficial out there, and it's not real connection, not like really getting to know somebody. So I was like, in moderation is cool, but like whenever people are going out like 3-4 times a week, and that's what they're kind of living towards. I
feel like it gets old.
Absolutely.
And I think another thing too is that when you go downtown, I think a lot of people do choose to drink to get away from their own personal problems. And I think or
the stress of school.
Or the stress, yeah. And I think that everyone that comes to college does have their own story. And so I feel like I'd much rather get to know that person and their story than get to know who they are whenever they're drinking and drunk and just being funny and goofy.
Totally.
Like, that's just... I want to know who you are and what you bring to the table for me. Like, what can you do for me and what can I do for you to help you grow and help both of us get to where we want to be. So. And
that overexposure of like the party scene and all that, you realize what it's lacking.
Yeah.
And then your response to like, I guess create like action towards building a connection with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Definitely. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against people that do go out and drink. Like, I kind of wish at times that I did enjoy it so that I could go out and meet different people, because I do think that does give people the confidence that they need to go up and start conversations with people. And a lot of people that are downtown, they don't go out every single week. They're just down there for fun. So I don't think that it's a bad thing. It just doesn't fit me.
Totally.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. You can't judge anybody for what's making them happy or how they're living their life.
Or how they're dealing with their problems or what they're doing. But
it's also hard. It takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of, like, just knowing yourself, knowing who you are to be able to be like to stand up to the crowd and like do the opposite. Like, it's hard. It really is.
Yeah. And I feel like it does lead to judgment too. Like, a lot of people will think,
them judging you?
Yeah, like, oh, she's a loner, she doesn't want to get to know anyone, she's a recluse, and like...
It's like, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, like, that's not the thing. I just, I prefer to get to know people in more casual settings, I guess. Like, just hang out, go do something.
But even if you were a recluse, who cares? If you prefer being alone, who cares?
Who cares?
Nobody can judge anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Everyone's their own person, and whatever makes them happy makes them happy.
Absolutely.
So, I feel like we have a lot of the same ideas on that.
Where do you think your confidence to be able to like stand up to the crowd? Maybe just the...
I don't think it was confidence as much as it was fear. I think that, whenever I was growing up, my parents, like I said, I was kind of sheltered. And so they kind of instilled a lot of fear in me unknowingly with, like, going out and doing different things. Like, if I wanted to stay the night at someone's house, they would, we don't know if that's a good idea. But
this could go wrong.
There's always that idea. And, like, my grandma was really bad at it, too. She just always fears the worst, sees worst-case scenario. And I think that did kind of get into my head. And so coming to college, I saw how everyone was going out and doing these different things and being dangerous, but I definitely paid more attention to the warnings of, like, don't get too drunk. There's date rape drugs out there that they can put in your drink. And so I was more fearful of, like, okay, I'm from a small town. I'm experienced on any of this, so I don't want to put myself out there and have it go really bad. So I think it was more that. And then I'm a stubborn person, so the longer I like refused it, the more I kind of got joy out of people trying like, hey, come out downtown, let's do this. And no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. And like, it was kind of fun for me to just be like, you can't make me. Like, I don't want to, and you can't make me. So
can't make me.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't think it's confidence. I think it's stubborn and like fear. And I don't think I'm scared of it anymore. Like, I've been around it enough with my friends and like other people that I don't see it as a negative thing. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing, but now it's at the point that I am confident in myself and knowing that that's not for me. So I think it definitely went fear and then stubbornness and then confidence.
Okay.
So it took a little journey too.
Absolutely.
So
that was good. I thought you were saying there was no confidence involved. I was like, I think there's some confidence
there is now,
sprinkled in there.
Yeah, definitely. As I've gotten older and like come through college more, I've seen that I don't need that life to be happy. And I think that maybe some people think they do. Like, the people that grow up in Kansas City and St. Louis, like, they've maybe been drinking since they were 12 or 13. Like,
Sure.
People start drinking young, and that's all they know. So then they come to college, and they're like, well, now I got a whole new group of people I can do it with. So
First time I ever drank, I was like 15.
Really?
Like
Oh my gosh.
I didn't drink much at that age, but yeah.
Yeah, your first drink. See, we had, there was one guy that lived in our hometown that was a basketball player, and his older brothers always had parties at their house, and then it just kind of went down through the family. Like, this boy did, and then the second boy did, and then the third boy did. So it was just always known as the party house. And a lot of the kids in high school would go there, but I was never allowed. So that's kind of why I never really got into it. I feel like if I had been given the opportunity to go over there, if my parents would have let me, it could have completely changed, like, how my life turned out. Like, I really feel like I could have gotten into drinking, and then I would have drank in college, and then, you know.
Or the opposite, like, where you get so overconsumed in it in high school, and then in college you just kind of mellow out.
Yeah, you're
bit.
like burnt out of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how the way we're brought up can just change everything.
Because on the contrary, there are so many people that come to college as well that like they don't drink at all in high school. They're so sheltered, and then they just want to break free.
Yeah,
they want to go fucking crazy. Those are usually the craziest.
Those are the craziest ones, and I think a lot of people anticipated that for me because I hadn't ever done it before, and everyone kept telling me, "Oh, you're gonna go through your crazy phase soon. Like, you're gonna hit it since you didn't have it in college. It's gonna hit you." But I don't think it ever came. Like, I just don't think.
Stubbornness. Don't tell me how I'm gonna live my life.
It's not gonna happen. It's no. So yeah, it's cool. I'm very happy with the way that I was like brought up and the way like the different things that have led to making me who I am. Like, I think a lot of people have things in their lives that they wish didn't happen, or I wish this would have gone differently. But I don't think that that's true for me. I think that I'm kind of content with it all.
So you're happy with who you are. You're happy with all these experiences that led you to be who you are, and you love yourself for it.
Yeah, and I don't want it to like sound cocky or conceited or anything, but it's just like everything makes you who you are. And so if I could have like my parents, for example, they got divorced after I went to college. If they had gotten divorced while I was in high school, whenever I thought they should have, that could have had a huge effect on, you know, my mindset, my mental. Like, it could have sent me into depression or anything. Like, it could have done anything, but since they waited until I was in college and not at home, you know, we didn't have to do the child support fight. We didn't have to do the different go to your dad's on the weekends and your mom's during the week, like, you know? So everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
And I just try to, like, have confidence in that and remember that whenever things aren't as good as they should be, and know that, like, in a couple of years looking back on this, I'm going to be thankful for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess the process, it's like...
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process.
Trust the process, yep. That's the way to look at it.
That's funny, because I was thinking about that the other day, too. Like, this was, like, just a few nights ago, too. But I was thinking about how, like, I like to psychoanalyze my life and, like my experiences in retrospect. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, everything was so perfect. Like, because I'm the same way. I love who I am right now. I'm so grateful for who I am right now.
Yeah.
And all these things that led me to who I am, like, yeah, some of the things might have sucked. Like, for example, like, depression. Like, I went through depression at a point in my life. I went through whatever, X, Y, and Z. But they've led me to be a certain way, and I love that about me.
Exactly. You learn from it. You don't let it take you down or don't focus on the negative part of it. Just focus on what you can get out of it and how it can help you turn into something better.
Absolutely.
You see how, with depression, you see how bad you can feel on a daily basis. And so then you feel like, okay, I'm not going to accept that anymore. I'm going to do something to where I'm not upset on a daily basis. But other people could just fall into it, and then they're just, oh, I'm depressed, and now I have this sucky life, and everything sucks, and nothing's going to turn out right for me. But, you just got to change your mindset and grow from it, and you'll be thankful for it.
And it's cool to have those parallel opposites and, what an attitude can have an effect on your life.
Yeah.
Your outlook on life.
Yeah.
You can have the exact same circumstances with different outlooks on it all, and you can be not content or you can be content with your life.
Yeah, I have a whole blog post on that. It's called Thoughts Are Things, because I had 2 friends, and this was kind of towards the end of the summer where I started realizing, I'm not really doing this for me anymore. I had 2 friends, one of them, they had the same situation. People were talking about them and saying things that weren't true. One of them, really let it get to them, and they were just really down on themselves, and, yeah, this is all true, everything they're saying is true, and the other person was like, no, I'm not going to let them say those things about me. And I watched them both go completely different directions. One of them went up and, changed everything they were saying and was confident in themselves, and the other one just really let all the words get to them, and they got depressed. And
That's interesting. That's interesting. With the same exact... They're just different responses, same conditioning, different responses.
Yeah. And that's whenever I saw it, and I looked at both of them, and I was like, oh my goodness, which one am I going to follow? So.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know. And so then I moved home, and.
It's almost like a higher power used that as symbolism in your own life, and Taylor, what are you going to learn from this?
I definitely feel like we have different parts of us that are unleashed at different times. We can see things. I could have something presented to me 15 times and it not mean anything, but on the 16th time, if I'm at a place in my life where it can have meaning, I'll see the meaning behind it and learn from it. So
could you elaborate on that a little bit?
So,
and by the way, wait, sorry to cut you off, but shout out to your blog, and we're going to put that in the description.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah, so get you some recognition, some exposure.
Thank you. Okay. So, what was I supposed to be answering again? You made me lose my train of thought. It's okay. It was on, the 15 things in 16th time. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm a person that you can tell me 20 times every single day, if you do this, this is going to happen. And I'm still going to go out and be like, no, it won't. And I'm going to try it until I see it actually happen. So, I guess this is where the religion thing kind of comes in. My family was not religious growing up. Both of my parents were when they were raised, but they had differing beliefs. So that resulted in me not having any religion, which was cool with me because I feel like it allowed me to kind of explore things on my own. But I had been exposed to the idea of going to church since I was born, and I was never interested in it until this past fall, I guess, September.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it was presented to me in all these different ways. There were multiple people inviting me to church, but it wasn't time for me to go until it was time for me to go. And so I feel like that part of me was kind of unleashed whenever it was going to be a good time, if that makes sense.
Because you could have gone into church, maybe, let's even say a month before.
Yeah, or 2 years before, whenever I first came to college.
And then just rejected it.
And yeah.
And you would have not found the same meanings.
Mm-hmm. Or I could have been forced to go from being a child and going to Bible school and stuff like that. Or I could have been, 2 years into college and someone invites me and I go. And it's weird because even different references to things, I really didn't think that eternal life was a thing. I didn't even know about that. But yet, now that
eternal life referring to life after death?
Mm-hmm, okay. Yeah, the idea of that.
Okay.
I didn't, I remember being 5 or 6 years old and sitting there and telling myself, when I die, I'm dead forever. Wow. That's just what it is. It's just, I pictured it like Candyland. There's no end to, it is in Candyland. You reach the big castle, but you're just eternity is eternity. So, and then I don't know. I think that even with other things drinking, if I had been way exposed to drinking way earlier, I could have, tried it. And I just feel like things are exposed to us at the right times for us to grow from them or learn from them.
Okay.
And you may not. Even with you, if you would have tried this podcast out 2 years ago, it may not have taken off the same way. or
True.
you may not have found as many people to podcast, or it may have fallen apart. You wouldn't have had the dedication to it like you do now. But because it came about whenever it did, the timing was right and it worked out.
Exactly.
So.
And that's also kind of a choice in the same way. Like, that's how you choose to look at it as well.
Yeah. Yes.
It makes you more grateful.
Yeah. So I think that that's kind of like your mind was a little unleashed to that idea, whereas before you didn't really have the capacity in your mind. So like that, it was closed off. Like you didn't have any idea of doing a podcast because you couldn't really handle it.
Absolutely.
But once you grew and you learned a lot, and then you found, I like connecting with people, I like having these conversations, then that opened up, and you're like, okay, like I'm gonna go this route, I'm gonna try it out. And
I didn't even realize that was a big part of, like, a big factor of playing into it, of like why I started this, because until I watched Black Mirror, actually.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird that, like, I was like, because I started for like a myriad of reasons, but like I didn't realize that, like, I would say what pretty much, I don't know if there's a number one reason, but one of the top reasons I did start this is because I like to connect with people.
Right.
I enjoy sitting down and having a great, like, meaningful conversation with somebody.
And have you always enjoyed that?
I have always enjoyed that.
But
yeah.
have you ever realized that?
Not until I watched Black Mirror, one of the underlying premises of that, like the themes, I guess you'd say, that they one thing, this is off topic, but one thing I picked up on that show is that they objectify women, and how our
Really?
culture objectifies women way
Okay.
too much.
Yeah.
But that's off topic. I lost my train of thought. Another one was, have you ever seen Black Mirror? So basically, just like a really, like, every episode is completely different, and it's pretty much like a theoretical interpretation of what the future's going to be like more.
Right.
So like and sometimes it might be this exact reality or very similar to like what we have now, but they add like one technological thing and then they show the effects of what happens.
Oh, that sounds super interesting. I might have to try it out.
It's a good show. It's
Yeah.
it's a thought-provoking show.
Yeah, so
I'm
you
not a
think-
TV watcher, and I really
You watch
enjoy.
it.
I binge watched it. Like it.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
I'm gonna try it out.
That's why I'd recommend it. But
You think that kind of sparks your...
one of the themes about that was, or that I picked up on, is that humans, a lot of these technology, they're I guess they give us access to more communication, but
They change the way we interact with each other, maybe?
right, but humans are lacking connection in a lot of episodes with each other.
Yeah.
So I realized, like, I think that's kind of the direction we're going. Not to be a pessimist, but more of
Yeah.
a realist.
I
And-
agree. And I think media, like social media, has helped with that because, you know, whenever I was a kid and my parents would talk about me having a boyfriend, your boyfriend has to come up to the door, knock on the door, and say hello, and then you can go. But now it's like we text each other here, or on my way, be there in 5, and then we never go inside. I hardly ever talk on the phone anymore, except for with my family. But I think
True.
I think that you're right, that we do lack connection. So if Black Mirror kind of sparked that for you, like, you know, there's a reason you watch Black Mirror.
And we're so early on in this, like, this whole, like, technological boom. Like, cell phones haven't been around that long. They're really, like, the smartphones that we're referring to, they really haven't been on long at all.
And it's advancing exponentially, which is, like, cool but also terrifying. Because, like, think about where we're going to be in 30 years from now. Like, it's going to be crazy. Like, I'm kind of scared. But I'm excited, too, you know? So I think it's good that you're kind of seeing the things that could come and you're being proactive about it and forcing yourself to, like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I keep this physical connection with people to, like, have these conversations and get to know them, because media can definitely take over a person's personality.
The media and the college culture, I think that's kind of my, like we were saying earlier with the drinking and all that, I think this is kind of my, when, like, push comes to shove, like the culture is constantly pushing, like, lack of connection. I think that's where it's kind of conditioning us to do, not form, like, genuine connections with other people. And this is kind of my pushback. This is me,
this
like,
is your
resisting.
fighting back. That's good. That's really good. I love a podcast idea, so I'm kind of that's cool that Black Mirror led you to it. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna watch it.
You should. I know everybody in this day and age is, like, always recommending new shows on Netflix.
And
but,
I think that I definitely don't watch a lot of them because I hear about them so much. Like Orange is the New Black.
I have no interest.
Stranger Things, like all those big ones that everyone's like, This Is Us. I'm just like, no, I'm not into it. Like, if everyone's doing it, I don't want to do it. But yeah,
it's a pride thing.
Probably need to work on it.
Well, regardless of how many people are watching Black Mirror, if you value my opinion at all,
Totally. I'm going to watch it. Yeah, of course.
it is a very, very thought-provoking
Is it on Netflix?
show. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll
And it's
totally
like
watch
each
it.
one's like a mini movie.
Okay, I do think I've heard about it then. Because
Okay.
they don't like all go together. It's not like, okay.
No correlation to the
Okay.
next episode.
Do you have a favorite?
I do.
Okay,
And
do
if
you
you
know what
want, I can
episode it
recommend
is?
that.
Okay, yeah. I want to start with your favorite.
I just watched it the other night for the second time.
Really?
Because my roommate wanted to watch it, and I ended up just watching instead. But I can't remember what season.
You'll have to
we'll
look
it
at
up.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll look it up after this.
Yeah, I have trouble getting into things for sure. Like if it's a slow start, I'm not really about it. So I'll start with your favorite to like spark it, and
Totally.
then I'll get into it.
I will say this for you and any viewers listening that are like thinking about checking out the show. Don't start with the first episode. That's just my personal
Okay.
opinion. The first episode is kind of, it's not as thought-provoking. It's not what I'm kind of trying to advertise and like the
Yeah.
reasons I like the show. It's a good episode, I think,
Yeah.
but it's just fucking bizarre.
It's the pilot, you know, the first one. That's what they always kind of name it on Netflix. Is the pilot episode.
What do you mean by that?
That's just what they always name it. I don't know why, but have you noticed that with
take it off.
series? Yeah, to take it off.
Oh.
It's like the pilot. So, and I don't think the pilot's always good. And I think that's why I have trouble getting into episodes and shows and stuff, because if it doesn't draw me in immediately, I'm like, why am I wasting my time on this?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, that's good to know.
What I picked up on with you, Taylor, like,
gosh.
and I no, this is a compliment. This is a compliment.
Okay.
It seems like you're extremely conscious of how you use your time.
Yeah, I try to be.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, in a way, I feel like I'm definitely lazy at times and spend the day laying in bed watching Netflix, but I try to do things that are going to benefit me. And so if I need a day to just lay around and watch Netflix, I'm going to take a day to just lay around and watch Netflix. But-
You're like, this is the move. This is what I need.
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I really try to listen to like my head and my body about like, you know, if I'm feeling down and it's cloudy outside or whatever, then the next sunny day I make sure to go out and hike or do something to soak in the sunshine. Like,
Right.
I just, yeah.
This is kind of random. Have you ever taken the MyersBriggs test?
I have. I'm not confident on what my thing is. I think it's maybe ISFP? T?
ISFP. I think it
I have no idea. I
Yeah.
should take it again and find out. I'm
was it a few years back.
Yeah, and I think the title or the thing it took me to is adventurer, but I don't think that fits me. Maybe it does,
Really?
and I just don't realize it. But yeah, I'll have to take it
Do you
again.
prefer
and let you know.
security or adventure?
That's what I think I conflict on, because in my heart
It's
I
all
want
balance.
adventure, yeah. But because of the way I was raised in my mind, it's like I need to be safe. So like the whole going to Florida thing is huge for me, because it's kind of the first step for me really doing something for myself and like acting on that adventurous side. But at the same time, I'm like really trying to keep in my head like, okay, I need to make sure I end up in a safe place, and like I don't want to end up in a little Miami slum, or you know. So
Totally.
yeah, I think that I'm a little of both, and right now they're conflicting with each other, but one of them's eventually going to come out on top, and it's probably going to be the adventurer.
Good for you.
I
That's awesome.
hope, but it'll take some time.
Like, kind of like a safe way to explore the world.
Yeah, like
Or
I have
whatever
a
that means
friend
to you.
that I don't know, I don't think you've ever met her. Her name's Leslie, and she like went and studied abroad in Costa Rica.
Good for her.
She went.
Good
she
for you,
learned-
Leslie.
Yeah, like she went. She learned how to surf. Like she did so many different things, and she came back to like little old Springfield, and she was just like, oh my gosh, like this isn't me. But instead of like reverting back into how she was always, how she was before she went, she's like gone skydiving now. She's gone to all these different concerts. She joined a dance studio. Like she's just completely putting herself outside of her comfort zone to get the same feelings of adventure that she had while she was in Costa Rica, but doing it in her own city.
Wow.
Yeah, so I admire her so much for that. But I definitely feel like her adventurous spirit is so much bigger than mine. Like, I would never go skydiving at this age. I want to go, but, like, not yet, you know? And then I would not join a dance studio if I didn't know how to dance. I wouldn't, you know, take cross-country road trips to go to a concert with my best friend. Like, I would want to, but the safety of it and, like, the money and, like, all the little things would cloud my judgment, and I wouldn't do it.
True.
So,
Well, you said not yet. Maybe
Not
this
yet.
version of yourself,
Yeah.
the Taylor pistol that is
Yeah.
sitting in front of me right now, maybe
Wouldn't
not.
do it, yeah.
But then once you have those monetary needs met, and then maybe who you are, like maybe you
Yeah.
become more adventurous.
Yeah.
Maybe Florida leads you to one experience or one new person, or
that would lead me into, exactly. And that's why I feel like Florida has something waiting for me, because that is one thing that I've never been afraid of. Like, there are a lot of other things, like adventurous things that I could have done that I didn't do out of fear. And it could have been the same thing with Florida. Like, my whole family's trying to stop me. So I could very easily just be like, you know what? Yeah, Florida's probably not a good idea. I'm not going to do it.
But you're sticking to it.
But I'm sticking to it, yeah.
Stubborn.
It's gonna pay off. So.
Well, the reason I asked if you're ENTJ, or what am I saying?
ENTJ.
that's my Myers.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that's funny. The reason I asked if you've taken the MyersBriggs is because another thing I picked up on. I think you're very intuitive. It seems like you're very intuitive.
Yeah. So, I don't know what that comes from. I don't know where I get that. I kind of think that's something that wasn't taken from either of my parents, because I think that they're both kind of, I don't know what the opposite of intuitive is, but I feel like they're both just kind of not that way. I don't think that they look at things the same way I do, and maybe that's why I look at things differently, because I don't want to end up like them.
Right.
That sounds really bad, but like, I don't mean that in a bad way. But yeah, I think I am. So.
I like that. I like the thought of like this gravitational pull that's always just Florida.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really excited to see what it turns into. And I think that like the psychology class has definitely sparked my thinking to go in different ways, kind of like in the way that your podcast goes. Like, you ask philosophical questions and, you know, different deep questions. And I think that the psychology class I'm taking has forced me to kind of look at things deeper in the way that I was raised, because we do talk about topics like adoption, which I'm not adopted, but the little things like being an only child or being raised in a small town, or what your socioeconomic status impact has on you, like. And I think that that's kind of forced me to really take a better look at myself, too.
Totally.
And that's why I'm, like, kind of becoming more confident in who I am and how I was raised.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just digging deep. Digging deeper than the surface.
Yeah. What is your ENFJ? What's your, like...
That was extroverted versus introverted. N stands for intuition. I was like very intuitive. Like mine was like, I think it was like 60%.
Yeah.
Again, I think I took this like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like if you take it now, it might be different.
It probably
If I took it now, it'd be totally different.
Because I was like 3%.
We should do that. We should take them and see what we come up with.
But there's also, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and apparently the Myers-Briggs isn't the most accurate. It's been it's been shown to be flawed in comparison to another personality test.
Oh.
I don't remember
Did it list what it was?
It did, but I don't remember.
Maybe we should find it and take that one instead.
Yeah, really.
That'd be cool.
It's so cool though. Like even the Myers-Briggs is cool.
Yeah, I like reading about it, and I think that a lot of it definitely does fit with, you know, even if it doesn't match identically to what you think you are, like there's definitely components in there that you're like, oh yeah, that's totally me. Like you got that on the spot. So, yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested to see. Maybe I should take one now and then take one like 10 years from now and then 10 years from then.
True.
And just see like how I change.
Just to remind yourself how valuable the human personality really is.
Yeah.
It's all illusory.
It is. It's crazy. And like, how much different would you have been if you had gone like to another school? Where are you from again?
I think about that all the time. I am from St. Louis.
St. Louis. So what if you would have gone to like a St. Louis school? Or
I did.
You did?
And it was the same thing that like you were saying in the beginning. Like you faced all this adversity. I faced a ton in college, and I'm not saying that in comparison to you. I'm just saying in reference to my own life. I think I think my college experience has been extremely profound, extremely unique, and a ton of adversity.
That's good though.
Involved with it, because I went to school in Chicago, played soccer there for the first half, hated that, ended up quitting. Then I ended up starting making YouTube videos while I was there, because I've like always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do that, but I never had the time with soccer growing up. And got really into that. Then the next semester I transferred to Maryville, which is a school in St. Louis.
Okay.
And there I just made YouTube videos all the time and hated it. That's where I struggled with depression and things like that. But at the same time, I kind of realized some things about myself there. Like I didn't have any... My options of friends, the best way I could put it is that I didn't enjoy them as much as I enjoyed being alone. Like, they were the type of people I would have rather just been alone than even hang out with them. It's not like I didn't like them.
Yeah.
It's just
you value your alone time more.
Yeah, I would have, and I'm usually not like that. I'm not scared of being alone. Like, I like being alone a lot, but I also like being with people. I just didn't enjoy these particular group of people, so that caused me to have to go seek out other individuals. So what I did what everybody. Anyway, I'm not even gonna get into like how the people were there. They were different. They were different. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So I went into. I started hanging out with like foreigners, and then that just got me like my curiosity was so piqued,
Yes.
and they were just interesting people because I was like talking to a foreigner, talking to somebody from another country is kind of like a form of mini travel.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what I had at Bear Village, like getting to know those people there. So many international students.
It
So I
just
completely
opens your
feel
mind
you.
to so many new things.
You learn about new cultures, new ideals, new mindsets, new recipes, new like
point,
everything.
recipes.
Like
Because they just do life, they do
Differently.
adulting, they do it differently, yes.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that.
And
So
you
I
can
feel like
tell.
if you hadn't had that, if you would have come straight to Missouri State, you could have just fallen in with like, oh, those people don't really work out for me, so I'm going to go back to like my reality, like the people I actually tend to be drawn towards. So that did push you out of your comfort zone.
Totally. Because I probably would have, I joined a frat here, and I ended up dropping because I didn't know what I wanted at the time, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted, and I was real enough with myself to say this isn't how I want to spend my college days.
Yeah.
And I'm really, now looking back on this, I'm not judging anybody who's staying in the fraternity. Just for me personally in my life, where I'm at, it wasn't the right move for me. And you're totally right. I probably would have, if I didn't have those first 2 semesters, I probably would have just joined a frat and still be in it to this day.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly. I feel like there's a lot of people that do join FSL and find out it's not for them because I have.
Wait, what's FSL?
Well, fraternity sorority life.
Sorority life. Okay.
So I had friends.
I knew that. I just had to.
Yeah, I had friends that joined sororities and were only in it for a semester or 2 because they too were like, I don't want this the rest of college. Like it's cool, but it's not me. So respect that you were able to recognize that and
thank you.
made a move.
And respect to all those other individuals out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because this is what bothers me the most about, and I think it's a very prevalent topic in college, but those individuals that just go on living their life for somebody else, and they're not even necessarily enjoying their fraternity, their sorority, and they're just conforming to please the masses.
And that definitely, like that boy I was telling you about, he was trying to do that. And so for me, I was trying to like show him, you don't always have to be this way. You don't have to live this life. You don't have to be how you were raised. You don't have to go back to that. Like you're in college now, you can do whatever you want. So do it. And he wasn't. Like he just wanted to stick in that. And that's when I started realizing. So
some people just are the way they are.
Yeah, some people are just comfortable with it and they don't have any desire to change. And we see that as like kind of sad, but if that's what they're comfortable with, that's what they're comfortable with. And in the end, like not to be like mean, but they're going to be the ones that end up either having the exact same life that they always had and being unhappy or, eventually venturing out and doing something different. So I think it's really cool whenever there's some people like you and I who did recognize that early on and were able to kind of change around, because I think that college is such, like, there's just so many things right now that can change who we are and alter who we are and take us to different places. And I feel like if you or I, either one, had stuck with what we were doing and how we were before, we wouldn't be where we are now.
True.
So, and it could have taken us a lot longer to get to doing things that made us happy.
Absolutely.
So, it's cool.
I love whenever you're able to appreciate the timing, like you were saying earlier. Like, because maybe just the timing, maybe some people in college aren't necessarily meant to or whatever to figure this out for themselves, or maybe they never are meant to.
Yeah.
But maybe we were meant to at a specific age.
Because it's going to lead us somewhere else.
Exactly.
And they're going to at a later age because it's going to lead them somewhere else. Like maybe they'll do it after they meet their husband, or, like it could be. Everyone's life is different, and I think that every life has value and purpose. It's just a matter of when that's recognized. So, it's cool. It's really cool. I love people. I love, like, the idea of the different people and how we're also different.
Totally.
So
I agree. I think the media and just typically, like, the general consensus that, at least the agenda that is constantly pushed on us is, like, everybody's different. Different is bad. No,
it's not.
That's the beauty of the world.
Yeah, that's the best part, is that everyone is so different. So,
do you think if everybody looked the exact same, so let's just say for hypothetical purposes, everybody's white, everybody's Caucasian in this world, and would the world be a more or less interesting place then?
physically less, but I think that would really... Well, okay, so, like, does everyone have the same, like, brown hair and like identical in that way, or are we still diverse but we're all white? Like we don't have cultures.
Yeah, no cultures. No cultures.
Less interesting.
And everybody speaks the same language too.
Okay, yeah. I think that would be less interesting. I think it'd be a lot easier to fall into being just like everyone else and like kind of robotic in a way, just because you don't have anything different anywhere you go. And I think that having the different cultures in our worlds now, like that's what introduces us to new ideals. And like just like you said, your international friends would show you different mindsets and different ways of doing things. If everyone looked the same, like you wouldn't even second guess it. You wouldn't be like, I wonder if that person has a different way of making bread. It would just be, well, that person looks just like that person, so they probably make bread the exact same way.
Absolutely.
So I think that
something as simple as making bread.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just a different way.
Yeah, just there's so many different ways to do things.
If we could form like a mastermind melting pot of all different cultures, like
we
different
could
minds.
Be so interesting. Like we could do, like if you brought in someone who's really good at making bread this way, or someone that's really good at working on cars that way, or someone who's really good at, but they all have different ways of doing it, and they all got together and started conversing, they could come up with the coolest things, I feel like. But I think that as a society, we are taught that difference is bad. And so we just automatically, like in our brains, we're just like, oh, that person's different. I don't want anything to do with how they do it because my way works just fine.
Right.
So I think that would be even more so in a society if we all looked the same.
But in reality, difference is just beautiful.
Yeah, difference is so cool. I get bored with the same kind of people. Like,
absolutely.
I definitely do. And that's what I didn't like about Marshall, is everyone just had the same mindset, the same goals, the same ambitions, the same way they wanted to live, and I didn't want to live that way. So difference is good. So
you knew at that time you didn't want to live that way, but you didn't know what you wanted?
Yeah, I think that I started to realize that I wanted to go out of the state. I always wanted to when I was young, but I think I started acting on it, like I said, freshman year of high school. But even before that, like, you kind of know the people that are going to end up being townies and living in Marshall the rest of their life. And I was like, I am not going to be that person. I am not going to get stuck in Marshall, Missouri. I'm going to get out and do something. But I think I thought I would go to like a Missouri city, like Kansas City or St. Louis. And then once I got to high school, then I was really like, no, I want to go bigger and better. I want to go farther. So I started saying Florida.
Questioning your own goals. Mm-hmm. Like, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
more?
Why not?
Why not more?
Yeah. Why? Kansas City is an hour and a half from my hometown. Like, do I really want to be that close? No. I want to go somewhere completely new people. And that's why I want to go down there by myself, is so that I am forced to, meet new people and do new things and not rely on my mom or,
Challenging your comfort zone.
Yeah. And that's the way I'm doing it.
Good for you.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
I don't think so. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay.
Nothing comes up.
Yeah, check your notes. Yeah, no,
well, I
it
guess
was a good
Humans of New York,
conversation.
but we talked about that before.
Yeah, everyone should check that out for sure on Facebook.
Humans of New York?
Humans of New York. You'll see a lot of cool stories about it.
Do you want to check it out after this real quick?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
I'm down. Yeah.
Is it on YouTube as well?
I don't know. I feel like it probably is. He's grown so much, but I always just go to the Facebook page, and you know how there's like the discussion. You can just go and scroll all the different people he meets.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think he's expanded. Like he's on Instagram now and probably Twitter. It's turned into a big thing.
That's so cool to me. That is so cool to me. It is super,
super cool. So we'll have to check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, well...
Thank you so much for having me on. That was so cool.
Hour and 12 minutes. You enjoyed it? I enjoyed this. This was awesome.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
No, I really liked it. I liked the whole idea of it. I told you way long ago, like, if you ever want to have me on a podcast, I am down for it. So I'm glad it worked out.
And I'm glad it worked out today, too, because we were originally going to do last night.
Yeah, my brain was so foggy.
Well, actually, whenever I called you, I was like you could just tell, like over the phone, I was like, she seems tired. Like,
yeah, I had just woken up. That's the thing.
Oh, no way.
You woke me up. Yeah, because I was like, I got home and it was 7-ish, and I've been an old lady lately, and I've been going to bed super early.
7 a.m. or 7 p.m.?
I fell asleep, on the couch.
Good for you. That's cool.
Then you called me, and you were like, hey, it's gonna work, and you sounded so awake, and I was like, oh yeah, sounds good. And then I was just laying there thinking, okay, I've got to get my brain revved up. Am I going to have some coffee? And then I was like, no, because then I won't sleep afterwards.
True.
So I thought about it. And the longer it went on, I was like, I really want this to be a good podcast. I want to be feeling good for it. So that's why I was like, maybe tomorrow would be better because my brain won't be so foggy.
Totally.
So, I mean, it worked out how it was supposed to.
Absolutely.
Just like always.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's how I choose to view the world as well. Everything worked out how it was supposed to be.
Yep, that's right.
And that's how, in the beginning, like, people, because I realized, like, people are busy, people got their own lives going on, and people have canceled on me in the past. And at first, like, the way I've responded to that, I've had to adapt, and it kind of shifted my frame of reference, my attitude, my approach to that. And people will, like, say they cancel last minute or something, and before, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I'd get mad.
Take it personally.
Yeah, but now I'm just like, that's fine. Like, it'll happen the way it's meant to happen.
If they're meant to be on here, then it'll work out. But, you know, if they're not gung-ho, like, we're going to make this work, I want to be on your podcast, then don't be gung-ho on yourself and be like, oh, they don't like me, they don't want to be on the podcast. I struggled with that, too.
Or if they would have done it, if you would have done it last night, and even if it's, let's say, so you wouldn't have drank the coffee because you didn't want to stay up late. You would have come on groggy. Not as like good of a conversation. And more than anything, I want my guests to be comfortable. I want them to enjoy themselves. I want this to be like a positive experience for the both of us.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. And I feel like I definitely wouldn't have been able to sort through my thoughts as easily if I had been so tired. Like,
totally.
I would be digging for things to say, and it wouldn't have like flowed as well as it did.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm glad it worked out.
And hydrated.
I
want my guests to be hydrated.
Yeah. Just not too much.
True. Well, just like we were talking about before the podcast, I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, sounds good. You go. You're good.
Cool. So on that note, we will call this quits. The camera's about to die. We made it just in time.
Perfect.
Cool. Well,
that's awesome.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
That's cool.
Here, I'll come. We'll call us quits and then look up people humans of New York.
Yep, that works.
Cool. Well, bye everybody.
Bye everybody.
Episode number 54 of Jordan's Subjective Perspective. Jordan's Subjective Perspective. Jordan's Subjective Perspective. Repetition.
I like it. Yeah. Jordan's Subjective Perspective. Did you have to practice saying that? Probably. It's kind of a tongue twister.
I guess just like as like I'm typing it and writing it and like kind of creating the brand.
In your brain.
Yeah. It just kind of rhymes and flows well out.
Jordan's Subjective Perspective. See, I couldn't do it. I'd have to practice.
Somebody said it sounds like a Migos song. Subjective Perspective.
Oh, it does. I love it. Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Well, great podcast.
Bye.
Bye.